like off, or in some way that it will not make any sound. If it does make a sound during the meditation, you're out of here. Unless it's mine, in which case. Okay, great. So sometimes we do some stretching and so on before we begin. Tonight we're not going to do that because we just sort of burned all that time getting the AV fixed. But welcome everybody to tonight's guided meditation. If you haven't been here before, I'm Michael Taft. And if you have, then I don't know why you came back, but here you are. So thanks for joining me. I always really appreciate seeing all your faces. And thanks for joining us out in internet land. Hopefully the sound and visuals and stuff are great out there. That's what we just spent some time working on. So, all right. We're going to do an hour-long guided meditation. The goal is, to be as still as you can and to not make any noise. Okay? As usual, you don't need to actually, you're not required to follow the guided meditation. If you want to sit quietly doing your own thing, that's fine. It's nice to sit in a room with other people meditating. So as long as it's silent, motionless, great. If you, have supreme physical discomfort, feel free to move, but move really slowly and quietly, which is a lot slower and quieter than you think. Like if I need to move my leg when I'm up here, I'll do it like this slowly, like really slowly, because that's how slow you have to move, so it's quiet. So like real slow. You can still hear it, right? But it's not jarring anybody. Okay, so you move nice and slow, try and make not very much sound. Notice I'm allowing you to move, though. That's a big change. So this, I've been worn down by people needing to move. So, that heat is on, right? Okay, good. Little flame icon, perfect. So that's it. Those are the rules. Just sit for an hour, and then I'll talk. You can follow the guidance if you wish, and ignore it if you wish. All right, everybody with me? Anyone need to flee or, No? All right. Then let's begin. And let's begin in the usual way, which is by just checking in with yourself, asking yourself the question, what's it like to be me right now? And then looking, don't answer it from memory, don't answer it from how you think it should be to be you right now. That's the most important thing. No one cares what, ideal state you want to be in. Instead, what state are you actually in? So just look at your mind, look at your emotions, look at your body, feel your body, and just kind of, what's the weather report? How's everything? And the answer isn't like good or bad. The answer is to look. It's like if I say, what's the weather report? You'll look out the window, right? Don't look at the app. Don't think about it. Look out the window or go outside. So that's the idea. What's it like to be you right now? Well, check it out. And then however that is, let that just be entirely perfect for this moment. We can drive ourselves crazy by having some ideal state we wish we were in. I want to be in a different state. I wish I was calmer or less anxious or more, less self-negating or whatever. But the best thing we can do for ourselves is to just drop that right now and be in the place you're in, and just let that be okay. So let's do that for a couple minutes together. Check in and be okay with how you're doing. Good. Now, just notice the vast open awareness that is already present, that has always already been present. Not something you're creating, not something you're struggling to make happen, but just by just kind of relaxing and not focusing hard on any one particular thing, notice what we might call the sky of the mind, just a kind of panoramic, open, limitless awareness space. Again, if you're thrashing around trying to find it, just stop doing that. Just relax and open. It's already there. It's just like a sky. It's just spacious, tremendously spacious. And if you're like, I just can't find it, that's okay. Just imagine that you're being like a sky right now. No edges, no boundaries, wide open, panoramic, and easy. The sky is easy, right? It's not stressed out, it's not tense, it's not tight, it's wide open. So just meditate as if you are the sky or a sky. Doesn't matter if there's clouds, the sky is just as vast, just as spacious. Maybe interesting birds are flying around, maybe there's some jets, but the sky is the sky. Vast, clear, bright, open, and at ease. So meditate like the sky. And then into the sky of awareness, notice now that a sun is rising. A beautiful, warm, friendly sun is golden, bright, is rising in the sky of awareness. If you can't picture it clearly, that's okay. Just kind of feel it. And really notice two things: the brightness of the sun and also the beauty of its light. Just that the light is tremendously golden, beautiful, friendly, inviting, warm. Very beautiful light that makes you feel good when you see it. And it's just centered in this vast open sky of the mind. And let the golden light from the sun come into your forehead. And it's this warm, golden, liquid light that fills up your face and head and neck and throat. And this warm, golden sunlight relaxes your whole face, your head, your neck, your throat, brings true relief and openness and ease to your face. Your eyes, your upper and lower teeth aren't touching because your jaw relaxes a little bit. And you just feel good in the face, the head, the neck, and the throat as this light, this warm liquid light fills that area. Feel that now. Now allow the sunlight, another beam of this golden light, to hit you in the chest. And it radiates out to your shoulders and fills your shoulders and goes down your arms, filling your arms with liquid golden light, and your hands and your heart region in the front and in back, shining now with radiant gold light, warm liquid light that brings complete relief, drains away all tension, fills your body with a deep sense of ease and openness and peace. And feel that now. And notice how this tremendously beautiful liquid light has brought such a sense of relief to your face and head and neck and shoulders and arms and hands that it allows you to actually drop much more deeply now into a real sense of openness and ease, complete presence and relaxation. And that opens your body more so that more liquid light flows into now in your belly, the beam of golden, beautiful light into your belly that begins to fill upward till it reaches that light at the heart and also downward into your whole belly region and your kidney region and back, and allows your belly to actually relax for once and open. Fills your entire belly with brilliant, beautiful light, healing light. Noticing all the tension draining away, all the anxiety, all the distress just draining away. Replaced with a real sense of pleasant fullness and life-giving energy and awakeness. This is the light of life. Radiating from this brilliant, beautiful sun in the sky of awareness into your body, bringing a deep sense of peace, profound relaxation and openness. And notice now another beam of light coming into your lower belly, filling up the entire pelvic region with liquid light, your hips, your hip joints, and flowing down your legs and into your feet so that your whole lower body becomes wide open, completely, utterly, deeply relaxed, tremendously alive and bright and clear. And it feels good. Your whole body starts to feel really good. Radiating now almost like a statuette of gold made in your image, but shining bright, tremendously bright with this liquid sunlight. Radiating, shining in all directions. And notice now that the sun before you radiates even more light into your forehead, and this is the light of wisdom and clarity, the light of the enlightened mind. It has tremendous humility and tremendous confidence. It always knows everything will be just fine. And you breathe in that wisdom, and the light in your head becomes brighter and brighter, as bright as the sun itself, as it beams more and more energy into you. And then another beam flows into your heart, and all the armoring on your heart cracks and falls away and is burned up completely with no remainder. So your heart is wide open and undefended. And it fills with light and becomes as bright as the sun, tremendously loving, tremendously awake and sensitive, and deeply kind, and utterly without fear. The wide open heart is fearless. When our heart is defended, it's because we're afraid. The wide open heart is fearless. It's the heart of the solar lion. Feel that radiant, open heart shining bright like the sun. And now a third beam goes into your abdomen. And this is the beam of golden light, of life, the life force, the energy. This is the Ankh. This is filling you with vitality and health, energy and playfulness, and the ability to accomplish. Radiating bright as the sun throughout your entire body. So again, the whole golden body becomes even brighter, even stronger, even clearer. So feel that now. And now notice that the sun in the sky of the mind before you approaches and enters your heart, so that the whole sun now from the sky of the mind is now in your heart. And all the light in your head moves down to the heart, the wisdom energy, and all the life force energy from below moves up to the heart. So now it's just a brilliant sun at the center of your being in the sky of the mind. This light is tremendously healing for both the body and the mind. Any sense that you are broken just burns up and flows away. Any sense that you aren't good enough just melts and flows away without a remainder. Any sense that you don't deserve it is just burnt to a cinder and flows away with no remainder. Even the cinder is gone. Any sense that you're too much of a fuck up just flows away. Any sense that you're too traumatized or have done too many bad things or have been in too much pain just flows away and leaves only bright, golden, healing light of clarity and wisdom all through the mind. Every last corner, every voxel, every tiny molecule of the mind turns to clarity and wisdom and love. And the entire body is just golden light radiating in the sky of the mind. Now I want you to just let that entire vision just vanish, leaving only the sky of the mind, this openness. But all the properties, the wisdom, the clarity, the joy, all remain in this vast openness. notice here there's nothing to hang on to. There's no ground below, it's just sky. On the other hand, there's nobody to fall. There's just sky. Let's just sit like this together for a while now. Anytime you find your mind gathering around something, just come back to being sky. Each time your mind congeals around a thought or something, just drop it and come back to resting as wide open sky. Remember, resting is the word here. We're not trying hard to do something. We're just wide awake as openness, not contracting down into focus or engagement. What if there's absolutely nothing to change right now, nothing to fix, nothing to do except exist? And the existing is just happening. there's nothing to change, what if there's nothing to hold on to? What if there's no ground at all and nothing to cling to? Every time you try to find the ground, it's just not there. Every time you try to cling to something, it just dissolves. What then? It's an important question because that's the actual condition. There's nothing to hold on to and no ground. Again, notice that that's not a problem because there's nobody to fall. The thing that thinks it needs to hang on to something is just dissolving too. It cannot be harmed in this way. It's utterly safe. The bad news is you're falling. The good news is there's no ground. Notice that now. Over and over again, you try to grab onto something to hang on to, but it's not graspable. So just relax. This wide open sky with no boundaries cannot be harmed. It's just fine. Completely at ease and at rest. But if there's nothing to change, that also means this moment is just right. This moment is complete and perfect, just the way it is. And we can rest inwardly in that completeness, in that perfection. But there's more. This moment, just the way it is incredibly beautiful. Everything about it is part of the mandala of this moment. And it's beautiful no matter how ugly or difficult or beautiful or pleasant it is in a conventional sense. In this unconventional sense, Ooh, we're back on. I can sound like God again. Yeah. Got the voice of God going here. If the people on the internet didn't leave, 20 minutes ago, I'm back. Anyway, so instead of, just stopping at the fact of like kind of this absoluteness, right? The kind of like oneness of just the absolute. Again, tremendously powerful, important thing. But we don't stop there. Then we come back into being. We come back into the senses. We come back into the body. We come back into the world. We come back into relationship. We come back into interaction and notice it all as if for the first time, right? Because nothing is mundane anymore. Everything is different. It's like all the stuff I was saying. It's bright. It's like brocade. It's kind of inexplicably just hanging there like a dream. Where does a dream happen? It's the same kind of thing. It's like there's all this experience happening in this void. In this, it's both empty and incredibly rich, empty and tremendously beautiful. That's the sacred world, right? That's different. So as let's say, I don't know what word to use. Let's say a naive individual, whatever words you would use for that, we're very engaged with form in that state, right? And you can do a version of that state where you think the form is really cool and it's sort of like, I don't know, Epicurean, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to get into every taste and get into every sound and listen to music and do all these cool embodiment things. And but it's all in the form. And so it's very fraught and very tight and actually kind of anxious and driven. And so we can't stay in that naive state, even if it's a positive naive state of engaging with everything. We have to let go of all that and go to the emptiness, go to emptiness, 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 emptiness. It's just the sky of awareness. It's just space. It's not just space, it's awake space, space that's cognizant. It's not Gnostic space, space that knows. And that's what's missing in that naive state of just digging into the form. We don't notice that there's just this vast space. There's nothing to hang on to, and there's no ground. So that's like step one. But there's step two. Now you can come back into all that form, come back into everything, come back into engagement, come back into the world, and get into it in that same Epicurean sense of just fabulous display, but it's different. It doesn't have that anxious, fraught, tight, graspy quality because the thing that thought it was anxious, tight, and graspy is also seen as this beautiful, variegated, sacred experience displaying in the emptiness. It's just a completely different experience of all the same stuff. So we come back into everything. But in a funny way of putting it, there's nobody coming back. And if you've got a good sense of emptiness, then the move is simply leaning into the form, leaning into all the arising. And something crazy happens. You, like I keep saying, you felt it was just the sky, but now there's all these flocks of birds and they're just doing this crazy stuff in the sky. Really bright, colorful, weird birds making sounds and flying around, and it's all just happening. And nobody's doing it. It's a miracle. It's the sacred world. So questions or comments about all that, or reports on your experience? Anybody? Yeah, what's your name?
Eric.
Eric, what's up, Eric?
I'm curious your take. I've been taught or warned about confusing a kind of happiness that is really, to use switch terms, like the Bhavanga. It's the sort of what you reach sort of the culmination of shamatha.
That's not emptiness. That's nothingness.
Right. That's different than, once you master shamatha, vipassana, cutting through, crossing over, and that Rigpa is different from the Bhavanga.
Absolutely, and they feel really different.
So I personally, so how do you differentiate the two? Because I've been warned very strongly not to confuse, Rigpa with this other state.
I mean, it's a true warning, it's correct, but it's in a way useless, or that's not the right word. It's not needed because Bhavanga, which means, it just means you drop into, kind of a nirvana type state, like there's just nothing, but it's a nothingness, is so different from awake awareness, which he's using the Tibetan term Rigpa for the same thing. It's so different because Rigpa is just normal experience. It's not an altered state. Bhavanga is a heavily altered state, like you're all the way asleep, but you're awake in that total dark nothingness. There's no arising, but that's the point of, there's just nothing. Or it's very much like, it's not exactly the same, but it's very much like a deep version of the seventh jhana, right? So like if you've ever done seventh jhana, there's just nothing. That's really different than this luscious sacred world that we're describing, right? Or even before that, the just emptiness, the automatic emptiness thing, there's still experience happening there. So they're pretty different. And if you're having the Bhavanga experience and you describe it, any teacher will immediately go, that's cool. Now let's do this other thing, right? It's not that there's anything wrong. That's a great state, but we can then leverage that into really deep awake awareness. Okay, does that make sense? It's kind of like saying, I don't want you to mistake chocolate ice cream for, you know, raspberry cake or something. They're just really different.
Yeah, I mean, I've just always warned, you're probably not seeing Rigpa yet. You're probably not seeing Rigpa.
If you're seeing Rigpa, you're seeing the world, not Bhavanga. Okay? You understand that, right?
Yes.
Yes. But going to that deep Bhavanga state, that's great because it's getting you so focused and clear. Now come out of it, see the emptiness of everything that's arising, and then lean into the form. Okay? That's very doable. But people do get caught. Caught is the wrong word, because a better word is taught. They get taught that sort of super empty, absolute awareness state is kind of it. That's a lot of traditions say that, and again, it's powerful, beautiful, important thing. But all that leads you to is nothing. You know, a very deep experience of what's behind everything. That's great. But now you're just kind of like you're no longer on the stage, you're behind the curtain, and there's nothing there. And that can be scary and disorienting and all kinds of stuff. Eventually it feels great, but you're still just in nothing. And that, in a funny, it's called the absolute sometimes and so on. But what's so weird is it's not the absolute, because it's loaded with potential. It's pregnant with potential. And all that pregnant is birthed forth at every moment. All that potential is birthed forth at every moment. And that's the sacred world. That's the real absolute. When that potentiality is expressed. So that's why, I mean, just in short form, the deepest emptiness is only halfway there. It's only halfway there. You're only seeing half of it. Got to come back into everything. And everything is bright and everything is clear and perfect and a shining miracle. That's the sacred world, right? That's the mandala of this moment. Yes, what's your name?
Ben.
Hey, Ben. You were here last week, right?
Yeah. It seems like you're talking about this sort of, you talk about you're halfway on the journey by getting to the deepest emptiness. In this practice right now, I'm doing from a place that isn't halfway in the journey, right? Closer to 1/8, right?
If you say.
Yeah. Do you find it useful? Do you find it useful to sort of mix the form into emptiness into form practices at the same time, or to go deep on one and then reconstruct?
It's up to the individual, and you just find out what works. But this is a one-room schoolhouse. There's people sometimes who it's their first day of meditation. There's other people who are like, look, I've been doing this emptiness thing for years, and so I mix it up so that we have different levels of teaching or experience addressed. But what's great is what I'm not doing is like withholding the secret until you're ready. It's like, which there's reasons to do that. So you don't get acquisitive or whatever. But I'd rather just lay it all out on the table and then it's like figure out where we're at and we move from there step by step. So sometimes mixing, if you can get that sense of the miraculous, did you get any sense of that?
It's so hard.
Glimpses are better than nothing, right? So that's helping to, weirdly, will help your emptiness practice, right? So at least for many people, kind of being exposed to different levels, to put it that way, is really helpful. And also, there are no levels, and also people do it in different orders. And so it's very useful to see different aspects. Yeah. What else? Yes.
I mean, I just had a cool experience where, like with the when you talked about the mandala experience, which I don't think I've ever visualized mandala before, but my version of it was actually like everything that was manifesting like went into it. It's this beautiful tapestry, and it's like it's like such a cool instant way to access like the miracles happening right now. It's just like like I'm doing it even right now. It's just like filling in.
Right.
Like it was just a really
and so you're having like a visual experience of it, and it's a metaphor, right? The idea that everything that's here fits into this perfectly balanced vision, right? Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Yes, Sophia.
Yeah, so I had a much better experience than last time. It was actually quite beautiful, and it feels.
I wonder why. Anyway.
Feels like I am seeing, like, both seeing and experiencing things for the first time, and in a way that everything I see, I'm like, oh, and I'm just wondering if that's just even sustainable in a way. I'm like, I don't know if I could go around my whole life being so surprised as I am right now. But maybe I just
hint you can.
Okay, it almost feels like would I have the energy to sustain this the whole day?
Mm-hmm.
But
is it taking any energy?
No, it's just
right.
blowing my mind every second. It's like
there you go. And that's just notice that the whole idea that there's something to do to fix it or sustain it is just not relevant.
Yeah, I think there's still this habit of like, maybe you should do something. Right.
And of course, we still do all the things we do, but on some other level, it's all just doing itself.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. and it allows that thing to rest. The thing that thinks it must do everything, notice when that stops, everything keeps happening. Everything just keeps happening. So that thing that thinks it's got to keep doing stuff is just wrong,
Yeah.
in quotes.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to do anything. It's fine. And it can keep running around if it wants, but it's not making anything happen.
Yeah. So this state is more normal than the one I'm used to.
Correct. Or to put another way, sane.
See, yeah, I'm used to being sane.
Yes. That's the idea. So, and that's okay, right? I mean, but noticing this is really helpful. Yeah. What else is going on out there? Who just does not get it or believe it, or not that I want you to believe anything, or, really skeptical and had a completely shitty experience? I'd love to hear about that. Steve, how was that for you?
I'd say things are a bit more vibrant now.
Mm-hmm.
Though I don't know, I experience this absolute emptiness, just as I said before, that no boundary really.
That's okay. Bhavanga is different. That's a special altered state. That's different than boundless emptiness, which is actually more important. So if you've got a good handle on boundless emptiness, then just keep noticing the miracle of that anything's happening. You got a sense of that or a flavor of that?
I hope so.
You hope so. Well, only you can know. So
I don't know.
you don't know. Okay. Find out. Yes. What's your name again? Josephine.
Yeah, I don't have a specific question, but maybe you can speak to this in some way. Like, my experience is something like feeling like the more I receive your invitation into whatever you invite us into, I could sense my spaciousness and awareness, but also at the same time a pain.
Yeah.
And it was like
Pain is part of it.
but it's pain. It's more like intensity and it's newness. And it went to an extent where I was actually getting dizzy because it was what is this?
Right.
Yeah.
So as we were having this conversation with Sophia last week, when you start to realize there's nothing to hold on to and there's no ground, you get dizzy sometimes, or it feels like vertiginous, like you have vertigo, right? But the next step is the important one. Like I kept saying, the bad news is you're falling. The good news is there's no ground. So as soon as you realize you can't fall or anything in that space, the dizziness or vertigo will subside. Okay. Yeah. Did you enjoy that experience?
Yeah. And to a point where I was okay, I'm gonna step back now and I feel excited for the next time I'm gonna meditate because maybe I'm gonna extend my capacity of staying.
Yeah. And so notice that it's important to notice that the capacity to stay there is equal to the capacity to rest. Instead of, I'm going to work harder at doing this, it's, I'm going to go there and quit changing stuff and just not do anything and then do less. And so it starts to just settle as our kind of aggressive desire to make everything different relaxes.
It's funny when you say that because the way I entered into it was actually letting the pain just be there.
Right. Remember in our very first thing where I said, notice what it's like to be you right now, and however that is, just let it be there, right? That's exactly right. It's just we start out just accepting how we are. So excellent. Excellent. What else, you guys? Yes.
So yeah, the question that's somewhat related to this point of accepting. So I noticed that when I'm in the process of dropping in or resting, attempting to rest, I'm applying what feels to me like two different modes or attitudes or moves. One of which is, I would say, a bit more attitudinal. And this is to me kind of the accepting flavor, where if I'm noticing something that's uncomfortable or a thought that's kind of disturbing, I'm more open towards it and less maybe negatively reactive. And then there's a different move which feels maybe more perspectival. And I would say this comes up maybe when I'm noticing that I've grasped onto something, there's more of a narrowing. From your approach, are these really two different kind of moves, or is there really a difference there? Or would you say that these are?
I don't get the second one yet.
So it feels to me kind of like a zooming out.
Okay,
if I
got it.
feel like I'm fixated and can take it
So
out.
you're asking really, is there a difference between space and acceptance? And in the end, they're the same. Because maybe not right away, but as you notice there's more and more space, more and more space, more and more space, acceptance becomes easier and easier and easier because there's so much room. Eventually everything's just a rounding error on just space, right? So they do tend to go together. Yeah.
Would you advise trying to sort of integrate them into?
No, just different moves are different moves. That's part of our toolkit. Great. All right, you guys, wonderful. Thanks for participating in all this, in the meditation and the discussion. What I have to do some announcements here. The first is that my stuff, there's a ton of it online. It's all for free. Go to deconstructingyourself.com. There's zillions of guided meditations and podcasts and articles, and it's in a book, and it's just all free for you. Please use it. That's why I did it, so you will use it. And it's like a lot of stuff. So that's me, deconstructingyourself.com. And then there's this place, Alembic, which is a nonprofit. We're, funded by donation. If you don't want to donate, that's fine. Come on down and enjoy everything. If what you have to donate is your time and your energy, great. We need volunteers. Thank you for volunteering. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And so feel free to come on and down and do that. Thanks to other folks who volunteered on other nights for other stuff. And then, of course, if you're just loaded with extra cash that you just can't figure out what to do with, then we're a nonprofit, so feel free to donate in that way too and help lots of other folks get to learn, right? And we're not only doing meditation here. You probably saw Janine's class there. We're doing martial arts. We're doing Qigong and yoga, and there's other meditation classes. And soon we're going to have like a book events. We'll have David McCraney in here next month talking about his book, How Minds Change. Super fascinating text. If you heard the podcast that I did with him, it's very interesting. So we'll have him in here doing a presentation and a Q&A. We'll have Ken McLeod in the new year talking about his new book that's coming out, The Magic of Vajrayana. So a lot of the work we're doing in here is very Vajrayana-like. Or if you come on Tuesday night for Chandra, that's Vajrayana, And so Ken will be talking about his new book that he's been working on for like 40 years, So that'll be amazing, and a lot more stuff. So we're doing lots of cool stuff. Katie's putting together all these science experiments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So those are the kind of things you can help fund. But really, we're about community. So the biggest thing I always ask for is just bring yourself in some way or another. Show up, be part of what we're doing, enjoy it, meet others, and get into the world with us. Okay? You are invited. So that's it. Thank you, everybody. Let's just meditate for a couple more minutes. I can't help it. You thought you were done. This is just completely silent. Very good. One last thing. But there's just one more thing. The Saturday before Halloween, October 29th, we'll do Death Sangha here, right? We'll do Death Sangha. And this is the first one we're doing in person since before the pandemic. So they used to always be in person. You can't do Death Sangha the way we do it in person online. We won't be streaming it. You got to be here. Okay, so it's like an extended, super intense death visualization. Okay, it's a kind of traditional death meditation, but not the tradition you're used to. It's very tantric. So we're going to amp up the fear and horror and disgust really loud. So part of it, because it's before Halloween, is you must come dressed up like something dead, either skeleton or corpse makeup or something like that. Okay. So, and it's not, don't, if you're like feeling vulnerable and shaky, don't come to Death Sangha, right? It's not like that. It's much more full energy kind of thing, but people love it. And this is kind of a big deal. We used to do these ones in person, and this is Halloween. So it's the Death Sangha moment. So feel free to sign up for that on Eventbrite, and because there's limited space in here to dress up like a corpse and visualize yourself in hell. So see you there. All right. Let's hang out in the lobby. Huh?
Do you feel good after Death Sangha?
I'm not sure good is the right word.